mean, don't you think that the rich man would have seen Lazarus laying at his door day after day? Don't you think that he would have shown compassion and mercy to someone so blatantly in need? Don't you think he would have done something? But he didn't. Dogs treated him with more compassion than the most capable and rich. And thus, my brothers and sisters, we must do everything we can to not be like Lazarus. And yet in our own lives, it's so easy for us to not act, to not do, and to allow others in our very lives to, in a very true sense, remain invisible to us, as is the case in today's gospel. How many of us, even taken out of the realms of people, have things or tasks or opportunities that we continue to allow to be invisible to us? We choose not to see them. The thing that's been on your to-do list for the past 2 months, or at least the last 2 days. The relationship or the friendship or the relative who you have not reached out to in months or even years. The obvious needs that we see in our church, in our parish, in our own home, in our own family, that we continue to pass by, that we continue to not address. My brothers and sisters, we do not want to be like the rich man who literally was blind, actually we don't believe he was blind, because if he was blind, God would have mercy on his soul. He wasn't blind. Who could see and yet chose every single day to not act, and ultimately ends up in hell. God is inviting us today to act. It's very interesting. I was invited by a Protestant minister just the other day to, I love like little things like this that happen in my life. So I was invited by a Protestant minister to come on his show, and he wants me to talk about the 5-second rule, which is awesome, right? I mean, it's like, but for those of you who know, like, one of the like tangents or the fights between like Catholics and Protestants is like the old like saved by faith, saved by works. And so I'm being invited by a Protestant to come on his little show to encourage people to work, to do acts of charity and mercy and kindness, and to, actually live out their faith, and not just like talk about it or believe it and have it in their heart, but actually, put it into action. So I'm like super jacked about this, by the way. But that's why the 5-second rule is so important. Like, and when it comes down to it, it's not like part of our faith, but it is this tool to like stop being blind. Like, we have to stop being blind, and we need to actually often just act and do and make something happen. Particularly when it comes to charity and to mercy and compassion. When we see a need, we need to fill it. When we see a need, we need to fill it. When we see something that needs to happen, we need to at least take one step forward. Our our very big server over here, Jack, is in our confirmation class last night. During confirmation, we were doing a debriefing of the Jason Everett talk, and I think like 90% of my confirmation class was at the Jason Everett talk, which was fantastic because then it allowed for like great discussion, and it really was awesome. Like kids were like talking about like, anyways, it was fantastic. So then I was talking at the end, and I said, hey, just so you know, like the East 6 Catholic Men's Conference prayed for this talk. Like they funded it for all of you, and some of the organizers of the East 6 Conference were like encouraging Lucy and myself to just say like, hey, listen, like if you guys need help, if you want to bring in like top line, like best speakers in the Catholic Church to like come and speak to your young people, like we will support that. Because the East 6 Catholic Men's Conference normally makes a profit, so they have like money. And they're like, we would be willing to do that for the young people of the church. And we're like, oh, that's fantastic. And so anyway, so then I was just like, okay, boys and girls, like fill in the blank. Like if we were gonna like invite other speakers to come to our parish, like who would we invite? And so I was like, great Catholic speaker, fill in the blank. And so then one of them was like Father Mike Schmitz. And so then I was like, I know Father Mike Schmitz. Like we were seminary classmates. And so then they were like, no way. And I was like, yes, I know Father Mike Schmitz. And so then at some point, one of them was like, you need to send him an email and invite him to come to our confirmation class. Now, if you're going to practice the 5-second rule, what are you going to do? Send an email not like 2 days later, but like right then and there. So my computer was already up on the projector on the screen. So I literally, is this not true, Jack? So I literally start typing the email to, and the kids are all just like, this is crazy. So then one of them's like, you need to invite Kanye West. Now, for any of you who know Kanye West, he is a rapper who had a conversion and came out with an album about Jesus. And he actually launched the album from Wah Hill Farms. For those of you familiar with the Batesville area, he actually like announced that he was coming out with an album. So anyways, so one of our young people practices the 5-second rule, and they're like, I have Kanye West's email, Father, you can email him. I'm just like, great. So then one of them was like, you need to invite Matthew Kelly. So emails are being fired off, and the crazy thing is, before the night was out, I had responses from Father Mike Schmitz and from Matthew Kelly saying that they're open to coming. So we'll see what happens. I mean, you never know. I mean, like, it's crazy. Kanye West, by the way, has not responded to me, which is probably good. But anyways, so often we don't do what needs to be done because that we just wait. And this is exactly, I have no doubt, I mean, granted, that maybe Lazarus really, maybe the rich man really was like, well, he did go to hell. So, but he had to, I mean, you have to think like at one point in his life, he like looked at the light and he was just like, gosh, you know, I could give him at least the food out of the trash can. But then he was like, no, I need to get out. I need to get to the store. There's a sale at Walmart. And so he kept going, or whatever it was, but he never acted. He never acted. So let that be a lesson for all of us that not be the case. I'd also like to point out that Jack is going on our mission trip. We have 40-some kids going to, where are we going? It just changed. We were literally going somewhere, and then they canceled on us. Like a week ago, they canceled on us. We were going on a mission trip, and they canceled on us and said, now you can't come because of COVID. We're like, what are you talking about? Like, everything is opening up, and like you're all of a sudden, like we've paid in full, and now all of a sudden you're like, you can't come. So anyways, thanks be to God, it's so crazy, but like we like made like, it just happened, like this other place to go on a mission trip like opened up, and they're like, we want you to come. And so, but Jack is going on that as well, probably because Jack, you practiced the 5-second rule, right? Of course he did. Because he doesn't want to be like the rich man, he wants to be merciful and care for those who are in need. So today, let's do that. Let's think of the things in our lives. Get out a Post-it note when you get home tonight or when you get home today, and just make a list of all the things that you keep putting off and you keep not doing that can be done for the glory of God, and we have to do them. We need to act, and through that, God's grace will be done and seen in our lives. Please stand.